Hey guys and girls, Joshy here, BJ and Game Day back again. We're up to round 22 of this year's NRL season. We've got 4 weeks to go. This week we move into head-to-head finals for all the leagues. Brent, how'd you go last week, buddy?
Hey mate, how's it going everyone? 12-23 for me last week. It wasn't unreal, it wasn't terrible. I think Turbo's captain wasn't great, but apart from that, can't complain too much. Just looking forward to finals starting. Obviously, I haven't made the top 8 in the old BJ and GameDay League, but still going in a couple of cash comps, so maybe I can salvage something out of the season, sitting around that 6,000 overall. So, yeah, no chance of top 1,000, unfortunately, but that's Supercoach, bud. What about you?
Yeah, mate, look, similar week to yours, buddy. 1,203, so... it didn't really sort of send me too far backwards. I think I dropped about 300 spots, just outside the top 2,000. Same, Captain Turbo. And, mate, I've got to be honest, I never really thought about captaining anyone else. I thought he'd bounce back after the week before. He was pretty average. But when I turned on that game, I think it was the first game on the Friday, just pissing down rain over in New Zealand, and he never really got a run on. So... mate, a little bit disappointed. Like you, mate, didn't make the top 8 of the BJ League. So here we are, we're not experts. We're just two blokes who love Supercoach. But unfortunately, we couldn't make the top 8 of the league. But just goes to show, obviously, here I am sitting top 2,000, you top 5, 6,000, and we couldn't make the top 8. So it is a fairly competitive league. Shout out to the Bogan. You'll see no rugby league in the background this week. His care factor for Supercoach has gone out the window. I think he scored about 950 over the weekend. He had 3 players that didn't play or something like that. So, he had a bit of a shocking week. So he's playing Fallout in the background rather than Rugby League Live.
He's leasing our Mao of the league.
Mate, he's leasing our Mao Fallout by the look of it. He's fucking getting eaten by dogs and all kinds of shit. But... mate, look, head-to-head finals this week. We're both in the bottom 8 fixture for the BJ League. We've got the top out. We'll run through that a little bit later in the week. Just to let everyone know from the BJ League, it will be the top 10 overall that make the draft league next season. So at this stage, 4 weeks to go, I like to think I'm pretty safe. Mate, I think you're sitting about 9th or 10th. So... mate, you better pick up your game, otherwise we might have to kick 1 or 2 people out to let you in.
You're fucking kidding me, mate. What's it going to be? The J on Game Day draft. We've got to get Bogan in.
Doesn't have the same ring.
We might have to open it up to 12.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we've got to get Macca in. Yeah. Yep. But, mate, the draft leagues actually, it'd be interesting to have one. Obviously, our local one with me, you and the boys is coming into the finals as well, and mate, I'm looking terrible in it, so we'll just say. I had actually in both my draft leagues, I've had Campbell Graham for basically the whole season, and I haven't played him a single week. So he's been just sitting on the pine. The bloke, he scores 110 one week and 6 points the next.
He's the white for David Fussatura, I think.
Mate, he is. Look, obviously, and that was the thinking behind when I picked him at the start of the season. It was just like, I know he's going to have those weeks where he scores 3 or 4 tries, and it's just about picking the right ones, and that's near impossible with him. But anyway, mate, results from last week. The Thursday night we kicked off footy. We'll wait for Bogan to put up the screen, but he's a little bit busy in the background. There you go. The Broncos beat the Cowboys. What a cracker of a try to finish. Now, this game was absolutely terrible. There was drop ball everywhere. It was pretty average to watch. I think the Queensland teams have never fared worse than they have this year. But the Broncos with Jake Turpin scoring full time, getting the job done. You had Payne Haas scoring well as usual. Joe Offahengawi and David Fafita not too far away. Whereas for the Cowboys, very, very average for Supercoaches, mate. Did you watch this one?
I did. I fell asleep, I think, with about 20 to go, and then I woke up and actually was the set that the Brisbane got the ball back and Turpin scored off. So, it speaks volumes, I think, with when you've got The Cowboys players top scoring, not even cracking 60. There's a few of them there. Broncos got away with it, big win in terms of their top 8 chances. Just Payne Haas once again tops the list. And I think Pangai, you had to make a call on either playing Pangai or Maddo. I said you should play Pangai, so you've locked Maddo. And Pangai was on about 50 at half time, so I reckon you got away with that one in the end.
Mate,
but he was letting that arm go. Bloody hell.
All
he was doing was offloading or bloody...
Mate, after about 20 minutes, I think I saw he was on 42, and I thought, oh, here we go. I've made a wrong decision here. But he slowed up a little bit and only scored 71, and Maddo had a good week with 92. So, yeah, I got the right one there for once. First game on the Friday, and we saw the Warriors and the Sea Eagles, and the Warriors getting up 24-16. A little bit of a weird game, this one. I watched this, and it's probably the Warriors' best first half and best game of the season. And that first half, I think Manly had about 30 tackles inside the 20 compared to the Warriors' 4, and the Warriors led 18-0 at halftime. So, huge game from the Warriors. Kenny Marmalo just continues to have a cracking season. He scored 2 tries. And as you can see, solidly backed up there for Supercoaches by Jazz Tavanga. Whereas Ruben Garrick actually top scored for Manly alongside his centre 3-quarter partner in Moses Sully.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. I think the weather played a part. Like you said, I think I had a pretty close eye on this one, as it always does. You got to be careful in New Zealand with the weather. But even despite the rain, made a conscious decision to just let it roll on turbo, which didn't pay off. But I think initially New Zealand just played the conditions a lot better. Harris Tavita had a blinder. He was really good. Rate him really highly. Hopefully see a lot more of that kid. I think with 15 minutes to go, it was 18-0 or something like that, and the Eagles scored a couple late tries and made a bit of a contest of it. But a late Tavanga try sort of made it look a bit more, a reflection of the game itself.
I think Manly were definitely helped by the Adam Blair sin binning. I just want to say, look, and I'm not too sure, obviously, what people's opinions are at home at the moment, but the amount of sin bins that are going on in the game at the moment, I think it's just absolute bullshit. You go to the West Tigers, who did West Tigers play? Whoever it was on Sunday.
Bulldogs.
Bulldogs. The 2 sin bins for those ones. The first one, Luke Garner, was terrible. The one after that, again, I can't remember who it was.
Chris Smith. Yeah.
The hits that these guys are putting on, they're not late. They're not bad hits, but they've just sort of set that precedent and they're just running along with it. But it's getting to be a little bit of ridiculous. Look, the professional fouls as well when you're going in to sort of score a try. I mean, sometimes you're better off not scoring a try and just get the 10 minutes off for the other bloke and, then try and put on 2 or 3 tries. Manly scored 3 tries in 8 minutes while Adam Blair was off. Like, I'm not saying that, even if he was there, they still wouldn't have. But, yeah, I think the sin bins in the game at the moment are absolute bullshit.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I think those sin bins in that Tigers-Dogs game have sort of been a result of some stuff in the last few weeks. Those shots in the back where they're trying to protect the playmaker, but, it's pretty much like don't hit a bloke in the back if he's passed the ball, which they weren't overly late. The bad ones are bad, but those ones I didn't think they were that bad, to be fair. Yeah. But it's so typical of NRL and its refereeing, and that they get on these flavors of the month and they just pick on certain things. And I guess my issue with it is they just try to police the game too much rather than try and let the game flow. They're too much of a differential, too much of a variable in the games at the moment. That there's been a couple games, I can't recall, there was one a few weeks ago where it just got over-reffed in the first half. It was just terrible, and they've obviously been spoken to at halftime. They've put the whistles away and not been a blinder of a game, and that's the reason why people, we say this refereeing's fucked and they're fucking the game, because they are. But then when we actually get some good footy played, that's the reason why fans can't walk away. But it's so frustrating being a fan. Like I said, if I didn't play it since I was a young fella, I would have turned me back on it by now, because it's just so frustrating.
Yeah, no, definitely. Second game on the Friday night, and my boys went down to Penrith 26-20. Look, yeah, Penrith were really never in danger of losing this. 26-4, I think they were up at one stage and playing much better footy than the Sharkies. I actually didn't catch a lot of this game as I was out with some friends, but yeah, the Sharkies scored 3 tries, I think, in about the last sort of 14, 15 minutes to make the scoreline respectable, but were never really a winning hope. Nathan Cleary, now we called it on last week's show. We said with Jimmy Maloney out, Cleary'd have to step up, and did he ever? I think he bagged a try assist on 3 or 4 different tries, line breaks galore, kicked plenty of goals. So a massive, massive score for him. And I think that was probably one of the big differences for the week for the guys who sort of actually went up in the rankings. Blokes who sort of scored in that 1350 to 1450 range had Cleary. Dylan Edwards continued sort of a return to form for him, 83 points. Whereas for the Sharkies, you had SJ with a solid game, 99. Wade Graham with 93. Did you catch this one, mate?
No, I didn't. I catch a bit of the back end like yourself. Quite interesting. I think I saw a lot of MPRs that had Cleary on it, which is unfortunate. Wade Graham was really good again, mate. A couple of weeks back there. That Burton as well looks like, he's going to be a quality young player. He looked like.
Yeah, tell me about that new kid because, mate, I saw sort of when I turned it on. When I turned it on, I think we were 8-0 down the first half. I just sort of was jumping onto KO while I was out with friends and then sort of on and off. But I seen a big rangy guy in a headgear. Is that bloke?
Yeah, that's him. So what it reminded me a bit of, I guess, his build and the way he looks, is he's a bit like Dugan when he come into grade. He's real lanky, especially the headgear. Rangy, sort of awkward build, but he looks like he's got a bit of a package. And for a young bloke to get the call up, from everything I'd heard, no one even knew his name 2 weeks ago in the Penrith side. So not sure where he's come from. I think they've still got Luai there, Jerome Luai or whatever his name is. They'll probably partner Cleary next season, you'd imagine. But he looked pretty good. Looked pretty, handled it pretty well considering. So good to see.
Saturday footy, and first game there we had on the Saturday. I've actually got no idea until Bogan changed the screen. Who did play on Saturday afternoon, mate? Any ideas?
No, I think it was St. George taking on the Titans.
Oh, yeah, obviously a big score here with both Supercoach and the game, 40-28, the Dragons over the Titans. This was just a lot of back and forth. Again, I was at work, but I was sort of following the score lines and that. Tarek Sims, a bit unfortunate to hear his season's over. He'll going to have surgery on a groin issue that he's had for a while now. Gareth Widdop, mate, 104 points. Look, I'm not too sure on the Dragons run home. I know they play the Sharkies this week, but, mate, it's hard because you sort of got those positions covered with 5'8" and fullback, but a sneaky pot at all, mate?
Yeah, look, I think I've a couple of draft leagues I'm still in. I've picked him up because I did think he was a bit of a sneaky because you just don't know. He has had the pedigree in the past for sure, but I think last week he was a single-digit score, so his average over the 2 weeks still ends up being 50-odd. Yeah, I think, as I said, they're not going to play the Titans every week. They still leaked 28 points, which isn't awesome. But, I mean, possibly, like I said, I don't know if you'd be playing him even this week against your blokes, but that one there is a pretty crazy game, right? So you got, those 5 blokes for Saints all going 90 plus, and then 3 blokes on the right there. So not much defence going on there. All those guys are going quite large, which probably speaks a lot about the game.
Cam McInnes, he has to be a massive pod, except for the fact that Cam Smith has been on absolute fire. And generally, everyone's got sort of Damien Cook as their first choice hooker. He probably hasn't had anywhere near the massive season he did last year. But, mate, Cam McInnes, if you've got him, you can't go wrong. Look, I've got him in one of my drafts, and I've got Cameron Smith in the other one. And, mate, week to week, they basically just score the same as each other or within 10 points of each other. So, really, really solid player, McInnes.
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? He's had Cook not been around, he's probably walk up New South Wales 9. So he's all class. So good replacement there, Supercoach wise, absolutely. I think good pod. It's sort of been mitigated, like you said, by the fact Smitty's been, I think, 4 out of the last 5 weeks he's gone tonned up. So maybe still for the run home is that little bit of point of difference for a few teams. I can't recall St George's run home off the top of my head. Like you said, they play Cronulla this week, but I would not have a clue after that. So possibly, mate, possibly.
Second game on the Saturday, and again I'm lost without Bogan changing the screen. Oh, mate, how do you feel?
Oh, jeez, I'm just sort of glad we're not in the running for the spoon again, to be fair. Look, I think this one flattered us.
How do you win 7 in a row, but?
Yeah, great question.
I think you did win 7 in a row, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it was 6 or 7, yeah. Brown, I think there's been something Brownie's been on NRL 360 or something this week. I'm yet to have a watch of that, but apparently he's put his hand up a bit, as you probably need to. I'm wondering what the go is there. I mean, I don't know how you read into some of this stuff, but how you can go from winning 6 or 7 in a row to then losing 6 or 7 in a row. It's pretty crazy. I think this one, the scoreline flattered us a little bit.
Officially, my worst decision of the year was trading out Manu Mao after the bye round when he played. Mate, fucking Tommy Sankster and those fucking panel of cunt experts got in my ear. They said that by the end of the season, he wasn't a first 4. He wasn't a top 17 centre winger, blah, blah, blah. And I looked at it and I thought, nah, all right, they're probably right. He's good for 50, 55 odd, but mate, his activity has just been awesome. And I'm dead set regretting trading him because basically between him and John Bateman, you've got the 2 best centre wingers in the game. Now, I know obviously they play that sort of second row role more, but mate, if you can select them there and you've got them, you got that edge on people most weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that it's his last few games for Para, he's probably putting in. He's going off to England, and I think he has a lot of respect for the club and what they did for him.
What do you think about him and Clemmer squaring off against each other?
Oh, tell me. So you can throw a punch, you just can't land it. That's the rule. Because Mao's dead set throwing a punch. I know Clemmer's had the elbow or the forearm in his face.
Yeah.
And Clemmer's the one that gets penalised. Dead set. So you're allowed to throw him, you just can't connect. That's the ruling.
I've got to say, for how scary Mao is, like obviously done the prison time and everything like that, that punch was one of the worst I've ever seen. I want to go up against him. Fuck, I'm keen.
Well, I reckon it was one of those ones where it was just a get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Mate, look, the next one's coming a lot quicker.
It was almost like he didn't even realise he'd thrown it. Like, I reckon he surprised himself afterwards. But, it was good to see anyway. I was hoping one would connect.
Yeah, I'd be interesting to see your boys go head-to-head in sports bet if they actually chuck the gloves on.
Mate, look, I could find some good matchups actually in league at the moment. I like watching all these guys after they finish footy going into the boxing ring and just they got fuck all ability whatsoever. But anyway,
Sandow Carney.
Oh mate, that was terrible. I watched who was it? I watched Luke Burgess. Tom Burgess and which one's the bloke who's fucking not playing anymore? Anyway,
Luke.
He fought Bo Champion there last week in a couple of weeks ago in a charity night or whatever. It was a professional match, and Bo Champion tore his bicep in the first round. It was fucking terrible.
Jeez.
Anyway, mate, Clemmer pretty solid again for your boys, Mitch Barnett. But yeah, third game on the Saturday, the Bulldogs, and this is one we talked about with the sin bins. Absolutely ridiculous, but the Doggies getting up 18-16 over the Tigers. Obviously, Supercoach is there. Paul Momirovski, 101, absolutely massive. But he had to feel 2 feet tall after missing that final conversion. So our hearts go out to him because he had a massive game. I know there's been a little bit of backlash from people on social media directly towards him. I've got to say I don't support that at all. I reckon that's absolute bullshit. Here's a young fellow who had a cracking game, and quite simply after 80 minutes of putting all his effort on the line, he was absolutely wrecked and he just made a miss. So, chin up to the bloke and hope he can come back from that.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It wasn't a great strike of the ball, absolutely, and definitely considering the circumstances. But, I mean, to be fair, I think he scored a double. They wouldn't really be in it if it wasn't for him to begin with. So, look, he looks like he's a cracking young player as well. Big thing for a winger. I don't know what his best position is, whether it's centre. Originally he started at centre, but I think he's a real bright future for him, obviously. I think Brooksy as well for the run home, whilst the Dogs have spoiled this party. He's a bit of a sleeper, I reckon. He pretty much anything good the Dogs are, he's got a lot to do with it.
We talked about obviously me bringing in Nofaluma and that the Tigers that right hand side, mate. They look absolutely fucking terrible. Nofaluma and SR Masters. I've dead set pulled the wrong rein there, but you could be spot on with Brooksy because, mate, he sort of pops up and they've definitely got an easy run, the Tigers. So, while the likes of Cleary and SJ are still performing, there's no real threat. But if SJ and Cleary sort of go through that lull and Brooks keeps going, definitely could be a sneaky pod.
What's interesting in that one as well, obviously Maddo was huge, but Robbie Fowler with the cracked tibia or whatever it was, which is pretty big. But yeah, they did say actually, I think on the coverage I was watching, they did say that SR Masters probably caught a cold, and I think it was Gus actually was just saying they need to give him the ball, just give him the ball, and it was just so obvious, that they aren't giving him the ball. That there's something wrong with him there. He's the kind of bloke, just give him the ball and a bit of room and let him do the rest.
And that's what we saw last year. Last year when sort of he was huge, he was making line breaks, offloading everywhere, setting up tries, scoring tries, and then he'd kick all the goals. So I definitely think it's a confidence thing with Esan. I've got no doubt that he'll be back. I think in the next few years he'll re-establish himself as one of the best sort of centre wingers in Supercoach. I think it's just a bit of a confidence booster that he needs. And the Sunday games, mate, we had the top 4 teams face off. We had the Canberra Raiders go down to the Roosters. Mate, both of these games were really, really good games. Definitely the sort of top 4 teams in the comp. I thought the Raiders were a little bit unlucky. I thought they probably played better than the Roosters. I just think the Roosters got a little bit lucky with a few of their tries, and probably the class of sort of Tedesco and that came through. But look, all the sort of usual suspects on the Supercoach list there. Johnny Bateman scoring 80, Joshy Hodgson 78, Teddy managed a nice solid 82. Mate, Dan Tupou, you didn't play him this week?
No, I stayed away from these. It's funny, right? Said wouldn't be touching any of these with captains, and pretty much every player that I would have had in my squad outscored my bloody captain this week. So, really, really good game. I think this one proves that the Raiders are the real deal as well. Every chance, every right they could have won this one. Even, with the last couple of minutes they had opportunities, and I think Bateman on the 4th tackles kicked for himself with 20 seconds to go. So, they're the real deal. I think they've proven that, and it's going to be, as you said, those 4 teams. I think expect to see them pretty much the last 4 teams come the end of the year, I reckon, as well.
Yeah, and then the final game on the Sunday, Melbourne Storm getting up over the Bunnies, as we alluded to earlier. Campbell Graham scoring 110 for the Bunnies. 3 tries, just finishing off plays. It's huge scoring for a centre winger like that. But Cam Munster, nice solo, pretty much a solo try for him. And Cam Smith turned up again, I think 4 times in 5 rounds, Cam Smith. So, mate, age shall not weary him. He is absolutely flying. And I don't know how he does it, mate. He's got to be, 55 by now?
Yeah, the accountant he dead set. There's nothing of him. I don't think he's ever lifted a weight in his life, surely. But it's quite amazing, isn't it? As I said, Munster was big. I think I even said last week, with these games on the Sunday, can you play someone like Munster? And you have to, but no way would you have predicted something like this.
Nah.
But
definitely
the Melbourne looking very clinical. It's pretty amazing considering what's happened in the last couple of years in terms of the players they've lost, and even that fullback with Jerome Hughes not playing. They had another young bloke debut. I can't recall his name.
Yeah, Nico Hines. Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks like he's all quality as well. So, they lost Drinkwater this year. They had Hughes. They had, all these guys come through. And yet again, there's Pappenheisen wasn't available. And here's this bloke as well that's just filled the gap nicely. So, pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, next week's fixtures. And we got... there's a few sort of lopsided games here this week. We've got Manly taking on the West Tigers. Obviously, a little bit of a iffy one this on form. Both coming off a loss. Manly will want to bounce back. Look, obviously at Lottoland Thursday night, weather will play a big part. I just think Manly are a dry track football team. The few times this season where I have seen them in the wet, obviously Turbo hasn't played the whole season, but they just look like a Sunday Arvo footy team, Manly. And I think they might just struggle in the wet or at night, but we'll see how they go. The Titans got it in for them with Para, so Mitchell Moses might be one for people to look at captain in this week if you're brave enough. Mate, the Broncos and Penrith. I'm not too sure what to make of this one. I know Penrith beat us last week and fairly convincingly, but I don't know whether either of these two teams are good. I think outside the top four, actually, I'm not convinced anyone else can win the comp.
No, I agree. And this one's a big one for, those. I think there's pretty much two spots that aren't locked down in the 8. There's a couple of teams that are in the running for those. And this will be a big game in regards to who might fill one of those spots there as well. So, it depends what Penrith teams show up, and they're probably similar with Brisbane. I don't know how we're $1.50 against North Queensland. Dead set. We should be about $8 to win that one, even at home.
Mate, I reckon if you change that North Queensland at home, you reverse the odds. I think that's purely just a home game price.
Yeah, and we're still an outside chance of making the 8, but we've got to turn something around. If we can get a result, who knows what will happen. And then another belter, obviously, game of the round, Melbourne taking on Canberra again. Canberra, we'll find out what they're made of, but who knows with this one, potentially Canberra.
I mean, early on in the season, I think round 3 or 4, Melbourne gave Canberra a touch-up. Obviously, Canberra's established themselves this season. Do you think Melbourne lose another one going into finals?
Oh, mate, they're just so clinical. They'll be hard to beat. I've expected them to have a few more chinks in the armour this year, but they've just shown up and they've proved that. As I said, I think it's just a testament to Bellamy's coaching, really, at the end of the day, how they just, whatever they've got in place, like those structures and in regards to defence and even attack, it's unbelievable. I thought that they were, asked me 8 weeks ago and they were still winning. I thought, they're getting the job done, but they're nothing special. But they just keep on getting the results. But I think, I don't think Canberra $3 outsiders, potentially just given down in Melbourne. But who knows? I don't think it's outside chance of Canberra.
Yeah, Bunnies and Roosters both short price favourites. So no doubt a few people will find some captains in those games. Well, more so in the Rooster sides than the Bunnies. And then rounding out the round, mate, my boys up against the Dragons for Channel 9 footy at 4 p.m. on Sunday. Look, form of the Dragons, obviously they only played the Titans last week. We called that. It worries me once Widdop hits form because I think between him, Corey Norman and Ben Hunt, they can really run that team around the park. It just depends where their forwards get on top, and our forwards have been a little bit lazy this year. So, mate, it wouldn't surprise me if either team sort of dominates this game and wins by 20. I think by rights Cronulla should, but if the Dragons did, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, another big gap. Your blokes obviously got a lot more to play for in regards to their finals hopes. They did last week. But, yeah, I still think if any team's under scrutiny and of any team in the comp, it's got to be St. George. On paper, their squad's, like I said, they got Norman, they got Hunt, they got Widdop, they got guys like Vaughan, Frizzell, McInnes, Aitken, Lafford. Like, how that team is not in the 8 at least is beyond me. But, if there's a coach under scrutiny...
The roster, like Cam McInnes, we mentioned him earlier. He's brilliant at 9. So,
and previously they've had DeBellin, obviously, but guys like Tarek, like, how are they not a top 8 side? If anyone's under scrutiny, if the next coach to go isn't McGregor, dead set I'm not here.
Yeah. Yep. Fair enough. Mate, trades this week. We'll jump over to our intro.
Change places! Change places!
Mate, no surprise. No trades for me. What do you got, buddy?
Look, I pulled the trigger last week I went Takiaho to Clemmer because I just wasn't sure of Fafita. I wasn't sold on Fafita. He was coming off the bench. I did pull the trigger. Look, Clemmer it was not really his ceiling. It was just his consistency. He's pretty much banging out 60 every week. And, if I can just lock that down in that front row, 60 to 70, I'll take it. I was thinking maybe you get a pie. The Knights don't have the worst run home. Maybe you can fluke a try and crack a ton one of those ones home. And so that leaves me with 2 trades, and I'm potentially weighing in, bringing in a bloke that you mentioned earlier, mate, and bringing in Manu Mao. So I've got some options there. I could offload my wonder pick of Cordner from a few weeks ago. What a trade that was. I could get rid of someone like Croker. I know it might sound a bit funny, but they've got a pretty tough run over the next few weeks. I don't see myself playing Croker, obviously this weekend, or they still play Manly. They still play someone else decent as well. So I can't see him being a guy I'm going to want to play in any head-to-head matchup. So considering pulling the trigger on the last 2 this week, I'll have a look at some of me head-to-heads in the cash comps I'm in and see whether I need to do it or not. But that's what I'm thinking with me last 2. Just nuff out, bring in Mao and see what happens.
Yeah, gotcha. Mate, obviously, no trades for me. Got none left. Fuck off. At least Narmel's not my power pod. I actually didn't even do a power pod this week. Actually, after talking about it, I'll probably go Lukey Brooks. Tigers with an easy run home if he's in form. But yeah, look, I wouldn't bring him in if that was anything. If I've got him, I'm happy to hold him. But yeah, I'm not
could pick up in draft,
mate.
Could pick up in draft for the next run home.
Yeah, could be. Social pages, guys, Twitter at BJ and Game Day, Facebook BJ and Game Day, and the Supercoach group code 701371. BJ and Game Day League, mate. Final round of head-to-heads. Oh, no, hang on. What have we got here? Oh, overall from last week. Gangsters Gargars top scores 13-15. Wayno with Hell's Grannies and Dr. K. Ando. 12.73 was enough to give me a 70-point hiding. What have we got? Head-to-head results or overall top 3? Snags are still well out in front. Rangers, I'm falling behind again, so I'm about 170-odd behind. So I've got a little bit of work to do over the next 4 weeks. Looks like we'll be up to $40 for the Men of League and $40 for the Headspace Foundation. Mate, head-to-heads this week. Last week, I can't remember. I just know that I lost. Gangsters Gargars got over What's a Pod. Checkmate gave the Tunnel Snakes an absolute hiding, finishing 7th, made the top 8. Stevie Double Denman, he actually beat the fucking Cowboys, so that got him into the 8 as well, finishing 6th. Leanne Fire and Ice, as we expected, beat the Brendan's Bashers, so she scraped into 5th place as well.
Dead set. Is that Leanne Berger from the German club, Fire and Ice? What's going on there?
It's a good drink, that Fire and Ice. Fuck, we've had a few of those. Yeah.
I thought it might have been Leanne getting in on the Supercoach action.
Mate, I'm not too sure, actually. I saw another Leanne. I'd like it to be, but it'll be poorly before her. I've seen another Leanne comment on something, or maybe on Supercoach Fanatics, so I'm not too sure who it is, but there you go. Yeah, Fire and Ice.
Fifth. Landed fifth after the start of the season. I think 0-4, 0-5, wasn't it?
Yeah, she was. I think 0-4 or 0-5, yeah. So she's come home strong as. So if you look at it, she's probably got to be the form player out of everyone. And go back. Oh, we've got 6 on this page. Rangers give you not a touch-up, mate. You only got beat by 30.
Yeah, 30-pointer. Wasn't ideal. I think we both had the same captain. I think we only had 3 points
congrats
difference.
to Blakey with the Rangers taking out the minor premiership. So well done to him.
Yep.
Scroll the page, Bogan. P-Top Kevin Bottom got beat by Hell's Grannies. Big Ted beat Marty. Scraped into 8th spot. Big Ted, you fluky ass bastard. Couldn't believe it.
Battle of the old boys.
Yes. Kano beat me. Touched me up by 70 points. And then the Bunning Snags played the threat, so he got a bit of a points booster, finishing second in the head-to-head. What have we got next week's games? Have we got the finals up? And Bogan's playing Fortnite Fallout in the background. So there's the ladder finish for the top 3. Blakey was ranking as De Janeiro. Charlie with the Bunning Snags. Charlie up to 54th overall. So, down to 50. He was up to 46. So, mate, he's still hanging in that top 100. I'm not too sure if he's got any trades left up his sleeve or any power pods or anything like that. But good luck to him, mate, over the next 4 weeks. Hopefully you can soldier on. Wayne with Hell's Grannies topped out the top 3 there. So, he's definitely hitting form the right time of the season. What do we got next, Bogan? Here we go. So this is your top 8 finals. Rangers De Janeiro up against Marty. The winner moves on. The loser gets a second chance. Fire and Ice with Leanne and Big Ted in elimination semi-final. Same with Stevie Woods, Double Denman, and Mana and Checkmate. Both winners will go to the next week of the finals. Losers will be out. Whereas Bunning Snags and Hell's Grannies will both get a second chance.
Who you calling, mate? Who's going to take
Who's the title winner? Mate, I'm going Wayno, Hell's Grannies. I think he's trending. I think definitely got to back one of our boys from season 1, mate. Got to stay loyal there. And, I'm going to go Wayno with Hell's Grannies.
Righto.
Bogan, we got the bottom 8? You probably didn't even realise it was there.
No bottom 8.
No bottom 8. We'll give you some update on that next week, guys. But, yeah, if you're not 8th, you're last. What have we got after that? Anything? Wrap it up. Who top scored last week? Who's this? Bring back 05. Who won it in 05? 05. Oh, fuck, they did too. The Tigers that year. West Tigers. That was the Benji flick pass in that grand final. Mate, anything to add, Hampton?
No, mate. I said, I guess all the fun stuff starts, this weekend with all the finals and the head-to-heads. But, only 4 weeks to go. Probably not a lot of trades out there. So, everyone that's still listening, thanks for all the support this year. Bogan, I know you've fallen off the wagon, mate, but it's a long season. We'll just be thankful you're not doing the Fantasy Premier League as well.
Mate,
but
this Fantasy Premier League you got me into 38 weeks. Do you know how many times I woke up in the middle of the night the other night just because I was fucking wanting to check a fantasy score that I didn't give 2 fucks about? Oh, fuck. I'm waiting up at 2 o'clock, then 3 o'clock, then 4 o'clock. Each time I've got to check how many fucking points. Mate, half my players only scored 2 points.
Oh, mate, I think the best part of it is the fact you can't even watch the games unless you're with Optus.
Oh, mate, that's dirt. Here I am getting this KO thing. I'm going to unsubscribe once footy season's over because if I can't watch the EPL on it, I don't really watch too much else. Once the rugby league and the AFL's over, couldn't give a fuck about cricket.
Yeah.
I might watch the golf occasionally being a golfer, but that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a long season, and now that Foxtel gave up the rights, it's not awesome. It was good when it was on Fox, but anyway, good luck to those still going head-to-heads. Obviously, the winner of the BJ League gets the illustrious Carmichael Hunt or Mark Gasnier figurine, whatever you want to call it. So a lot on the line. Come on, mate. Make sure you can lock down at least second. There's no chance you're catching snags, but get in there and lock down second so it limits the damage.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll catch you all next week. Cheers.